The Flying Truck, written by Hans Christian Andersen. There was once a merchant who was so rich that he could have paved the whole street with gold, and would even then have had enough for a small alley. But he did not do so. He knew the value of money better than to use it in this way. So clever as he, that every shilling he put out brought him a crown. And so he continued till he died. His son inherited his wealth, and he lived a merry life with it. He went to a masquerade every night, made kites out of 5-pound notes, and threw pieces of gold into the sea instead of stone, making ducks and drakes of them. In this manner he soon lost all his money. Alas, he had nothing left but a pair of slippers, an old dressing gown, and 4 shillings. And now all his friends deserted him. They could not walk with him in the street, but one of them, who was very good-natured, sent him an old truck with this message. "Pack up." "Yes," he said, "and it is all very well to say pack up." But he had nothing left to pack up. Therefore he seated himself in the truck. It was a very wonderful truck. No sooner did any one press on the lock than the trunk could fly. He shut the lid and pressed the lock. Then, when away flew the trunk, up the chimney with the merchant's son in it, right up into the cloud. Whenever the bottom of the trunk cracked, he was in a great fright, for if the trunk fell to pieces, he would have made a tremendous somerset over the tree. However, he got safely in his trunk to the land of Turkey. He hid the truck in the wood under some dry leaf, and then went into the town. He could sew this very well, for the Turk always go about dressed in dressing gown and slipper as he was himself.
He happened to meet a nurse with a little child. "I say, you Turkish nurse," cried he, "what castle is that near the town with the window placed so high?" "The king's daughter lives there," she replied. "It has been prophesied that she will be very unhappy about lover, and therefore no one is allowed to visit her, unless the king and queen are present." "Thank you," said the merchant's son. So he went back to the wood, seated himself in his trunk, flew up to the roof of the castle, and crept through the window into the princess's room. She lay on the sofa asleep, and she was so beautiful that the merchant's son could not help kissing her. Then she awoke, and was very much frightened, but he told her he was a Turkish angel, who had come down through the air to see her, which pleased her very much. He sat down by her side and talked to her. He said her eyes were like beautiful dark lakes, in which the ducks swam about like little mermaids, and he told her that her forehead was a snowy mountain, which contained splendid halls full of pictures. And then he related to her about the stork who brings the beautiful children from the rivers. These were delightful stories, and when he asked the princess if she would marry him, she consented immediately. "But you must come on Saturday," she said, "for then the king and queen will take tea with me. They will be very proud when they find that I am going to marry a Turkish angel. But you must think of some very pretty story to tell them, for my parents like to hear story better than anything. My mother prefers one that is deep and moral, but my father likes something funny to make him laugh." "Very well," he replied, "I shall bring you no other marriage portion than a story." And so they parted. But the princess gave him a sword with a stirrup with gold coins, and he could use. Then he flew away to the town and bought a new dressing gown, and afterwards returned to the wood, where he composed a story so as to be ready for Saturday, which was no easy matter. It was ready, however, by Saturday, when he went to see the princess. The king and queen and the whole court were at tea with the princess, and he was received with great politeness. "Will you tell us a story?" said the queen. "One that is instructive and full of deep learning." "Yes, but with something in it to laugh at," said the king. "Certainly," he replied, and commenced at once, asking them to listen attentively.
There's once a bundle of match standing proud behind the shed. A genealogical tree that is a large pine tree from which they have been cut. Was at one time a large old tree in the wood. The match now lay between a tiny box and an old iron saucepan. We're talking about the young days. Oh, then green windows and were as green as they. Every morning and evening were filled with diamond drops of dew. Whenever the sun shone, we felt its warm embrace. The little birds would relate stories to us as they sang. We knew that we were rich, for the other trees of the world, their green dress in summer, and our family were able to arrange themselves in green summer and winter. But the woodcutter came, by the great revolution, and our family fell under the earth. The head of the house obtained a situation at Venice in very fine ship and can sail around the world in her rule. The other branches of the family were taken to different places. Our office now is to kindle light for common people. This house of hard work people as we came to be in the kitchen. Mine has been a very different fate. Save the iron pot, we stood by the match. From my first strength into the world, I have been used to cooking and sewing, and the first in this house. When anything solid or useful is required, I always rise to make bed clean and shiny after dinner, and to sit in my place and have a little sensible conversation with my neighbors. All of us, except in one pocket, which is sometimes taken to the courtyard, live here together within these four walls. We get our news from the market basket, but he sometimes tells us very pleasant things about the people and the government. Yes, and one day an old part was so long. When he fell down, he was broken to pieces. It was so horrible, I can tell you. They were talking so much, said the tiny box, and still struck against the flint till some spark flew out. Crying, "We want a merry evening, don't we?" "Yes, of course," said the match. "Let's just talk about those who are the highest born."
No, I don't like be always talking of that what we are. We must get the scorpion. Let us think of some other amusement. I will begin. We will tell something that happened to ourselves. That will be very easy and interesting as well. On the Baltic Sea, near the Danish shore. What a pretty commitment, said the place. We saw all like the story, I'm sure. Just well in my job, I live in a great family. We are where the furniture was polished, the floor sound, and clean curtain put up every fortnight. What an interesting way you have of realizing a story, said the comic bloom. It is easy to praise that you have been a great deal in women. Seriously, there is something so poor and thought what you say. That is quite true, said the white bucket, and he made a spring with joy and splashed some water on the floor. Then the client went on with his story. and the end was as good as beginning. The blade reached with breaks the end. The carpet bloom thought brought some green parsley out of dirt hole and crowned a spring, for he knew it would wet the other, and he thought, if I know him today, he will count me tomorrow. Now let's have a dance, said the father tongue, and then how they danced and stuck up with one leg in the air. The chair rested in the corridor, but with laughter when he saw it. Shall I be crowded now? Asked the fire tongue. So the bloom found another with other tongue. They were only common people after all, thought the magic. The turn was now asked to sing, but she said she had a cold and could not sing without bowing it. They all thought this was a fraction, and because she did not wish to sing, expecting in the parlor, went on the table with the grand pupil. In the window sat an old quill pen with which the maid then really wrote. There was nothing remarkable about the pen except that it had been dipped to reply in the ink, but it was proud of that.
If the tyrant won't sing, said the pen, she can leave it alone. There's a nightingale in a cage who can sing. She has not been taught much, certainly, but we need to not say anything this evening about that. I think it highly improper, said the tea kettle, who was kitchen singer and half-brother to the tea urn, that a rich virgin bird should be listened to hear. Is it patriotic? Let the market basket decide what is right. I certainly am vexed, said the basket, inwardly vexed, more than anyone can imagine. Are we spending the evening properly? Would it not be more sensible to put the house in order? If each were in his own place, I would lead a game. This would be quite another thing. Let us act a play, said they all. At the same moment, the door opened, and the maid came in. Then not one stirred. They all remained quite still. Yet, at the same time, there was not a single pot amongst them who had not a high opinion of himself, and of what he could do if he chose. Yes, if he had chosen. They each thought, we might have spent a very pleasant evening. The maid took the matches and lighted them. Dear me, how they sputtered and blazed up. Now then, they thought, everyone will see that we are the first. How we shine, that a light we give. Even while they spoke, their light went out.
What a capital story, said the queen. I feel as if I were really in the kitchen and could see the matches, and yes, you shall marry our daughter. Certainly, said the king, thou shalt have our daughter. The king said thou to him because he was going to be one of the family. The wedding day was fixed, and on the evening before, the whole city was illuminated. Cakes and sweetmeats were thrown among the people. The street boys stood on tiptoe and shouted, "Hurrah!" and whistled between their fingers. Altogether, it was a very splendid affair. "I'll give them another treat," said the merchant's son. So he went and bought rockets and crackers and all sorts of fireworks that could be thought of, packed them in his trunk, and flew up with it into the air. What a whizzing and popping they made as they went off! The Turks, when they saw such a light in the air, jumped so high that their slippers flew about their ears. It was easy to believe after this that the princess was really going to marry a Turkish angel. As soon the merchant's sons had come down in his flying trunk to the wood after the fireworks, he thought, I'll go back into the town now and hear what they think of the entertainment. It was very natural that he should wish to know, and what strange things people did say, to be sure. Everyone whom he questioned had a different tale to tell, though they all thought it very beautiful. I saw the Turkish angel myself, said one. He had eyes like glittering stars and a head like foaming water. He flew in a mantle of fire, cried another, and lovely little cherries peeped out from the fold. He heard many more fine things about himself, and that the next day he was to be married. After this, he went back to the forest and rested himself in his trunk. It had disappeared. A spark from the fireworks which remained had set it on fire. It was burned to ashes. So the merchant's son could not fly anymore, nor to go meet his bride. She stood all day on the roof waiting for him, and most likely she is waiting there still, while he wanders through the world telling fairy tales, but none of them so amusing as the one he related about the matches.
The Flying Trap, written by Hans Christian Andersen.